Hi everybody, my name is Lorraine Murray, and I'm from Connected Kids, which is part of the Teach Children Meditation campaign. Vicky Mulholland asked us to do a short video about helping you with your primary school kids, and particularly in this time of anxiety and stress. It's what we train people to do. We train parents and carers and professionals to teach kids little techniques that are mindful or for meditations just to help reduce anxiety and stress. So I appreciate everyone is homeschooling or stuck at home. I'm a foster mum, so I am also homeschooling as well as doing this. So I appreciate all the pressure points. So something really simple that you can do, which requires absolutely nothing more than just you and your young person, is to teach them how to notice their breath. Because when we get stressed, one of the first things to be affected is our breath. Our children might find that they're holding their breath because they're upset, or that their breath becomes irregular or faster. And that just then has a kind of knock-on effect to things like the way that we hold our body, the stress and that, the tension. It also sends us into what's called the stress response, the fight, flight or freeze. Or we may be in the fight, flight or freeze and we're holding our breath. So it's a bit of a chicken and egg situation. So one of the things I do with kids, if I think they're going to be stressed or there's certain things that trigger them and make them feel stressed, is to show them how to notice their breath. And please, when I'm showing you these things for your kids, practice them too. They're not exclusive to children. Adults should be practicing this because first of all, your children will see you practicing and you'll become a good model of behaviour. And secondly, it'll help you cope with your kids whilst you're homeschooling and the stress levels are rising. It'll really help with that because that helps me. So one really simple thing to do is to teach them the tummy breath. And the tummy breath is physiologically impossible. We can't breathe into our tummies, but we pretend as if we can. It means that instead of thinking about breathing into our lungs, we imagine we're breathing right down through our body, and as we get to our tummy is filling up with air, and then as we breathe out, the air escapes from our tummy and it goes back out the body. So an easy way to teach kids, potentially lying down to start with, is to get them to lie with their hands or their favourite toy on their tummy. And then when they breathe in, they've got to force their tummy muscles with the in-breath to lift the hands out. If they're lying down, their tummy will go up like this and the toy on top will rise and fall. And so the in-breath is it going up and the out-breath is it coming back down. And what happens is that you have parts of your body that are engaging with this, which are actually, it's the way you breathe when you're asleep, that tummy breathing, because it sends a relaxation signal to the brain through the diaphragm. So when I've worked with really anxious kids or kids that get themselves really worked up, just doing 2 or 3 tummy breaths brings the stress levels right back down. So before you go and teach your kids, practice that for yourself, okay? So it will really help you cope when you feel your hackles rising. Do 2 or 3 tummy breaths and you're sending a different signal to your brain. The other thing I would say about when you're teaching your kids any breath stuff is try and do it when they're not stressed, because you're teaching them this and then you make an agreement with them. When you get worked up, we agree that we're going to do 3 breaths and then see if we still want to be worked up after that, but usually you counteract it. I did that with my son because he gets quite worked up about certain parts of homework that we're having to help him with, and great resistance. So our agreement is he has to do these 3 long breaths. I do them with him, the tummy breaths, and then he just seems to, it's like his brain clicks in and he's able to think a little bit more clearly, calms himself down. So this tummy breath, okay? So that's really simple. Another one, I'm going to show you a piece of equipment, but you don't need this. This is an expanding ball. You buy them off Amazon and they're a couple of quid. And they're a great tool for really young kids to show them how to breathe. So breathing in, tummy expands, or you're breathing in, just normally. Breathing out, and then it goes back in. So breathing in, breathing out, breathing in, breathing out, breathing in, breathing out. I'm going quite fast because kids have smaller lung capacity, so they can't breathe as slowly as us. As they get older they can, but younger kids can't. If you don't have one of these, not everybody does, you can just use the hands. Breathing in, breathing out. They might want to go breathing in, make your breath longer, breathing out. So that can help them expand their breath, okay? So you're just getting them to concentrate on the in and the out breath. And that just stops it from spiraling into this stress response. You might want to show them this video if you want to show this coloured expanding ball, and then get them to imagine the ball in their head. So if they're not wanting to use their hand, they just imagine the ball going in and out, and that they match their breath to that. Other things you can use, really simply, you can get them to blow into their hands as long as they can, listening to, feeling the breath in their hands, because again, this is one of the things that calms down the nervous system. So when we get into that stress response, if we actually take our attention to the out breath and concentrate on it for the whole out breath, it calms the nervous system down, and science backs this up. So it's worth teaching your kids that, breathing all your stress, what you're feeling into your hands, and then you might make a game of it. Shake your hands off now, get rid of that stuff, you know. And some other things you might want to use, like if you've got a ping pong ball or a little light ball, they can use blowing that. It shows them how to breathing out the breath. If you've got a feather, or if in your garden you've got one of those little windmill things, blowing on that can be good. Blowing bubbles as well. But instead of just them doing the activity and the fun of that, it's about them going, notice how you make the breath and you're breathing out, and that's filling up. Your breath is inside each of those bubbles as it floats off. So you're kind of combining a little bit of what we call mindfulness into the actual activity of them noticing their breath. And you can get them to try and, if they're a little bit controlling, I've worked with some kids that are quite power hungry. It's fear-based, of course, but it's difficult to manage when you're trying to teach them something. Maybe show them and then get them to teach you. So say, help me practice this. So I'm going to show you, but then help me practice by you teaching me. And then the act of teaching you about the breath, they're actually, learning how to do it. And maybe, even if it's online, if they're communicating with their friends, one of the things they have to do maybe once per week is to show one of their friends how to do a breath, to notice their breath, a breath game, whatever you want to call it. You don't need to call it meditation, you just need to call it something simple. So I hope some of these things help. Drop us an email if you want, or put a remark on this post if it's on Vicky's ACES group on Facebook. I'll probably put this up on my website as well, actually, because I think there's some useful ideas. And I really wish you the best of luck. It's tough times for everyone. It's really, really challenging. But if we don't have our health, we really don't have anything. So let's just keep breathing as nicely as we can, and wish you all the best. Bye for now.